और वो इतना अच्छा है, अभी खाने के बाद क्या ये प्रॉब्लम एमवे ने सॉल्व कर दिया। और अभी खाना खाने के बाद हम लोग मैंगो का टेस्ट
मैंगो फ्लेवर
12 महीना ले सकते हैं।
अच्छा, मैं आपको एक चीज कहना चाहता हूं। अभी मैं नहीं करने वाला हूं, लेकिन आइंदा से किसी ने वीडियो चालू नहीं किया ना, तो दे कैन नॉट अटेंड द मीटिंग।
ओके, वी विल फॉलो दिस।
Yeah, this is important because when you go to a meeting, you're in the room. You have to keep your video on, and the video has to be on your face. Okay, it must be your face. This is a meeting. It's an interactive meeting. We want people to be on, and just having somebody's name is not good enough. And this is now going to be the rule going forward, because otherwise why do Zoom? We'll just make a phone call, right?
Right.
And we should all have the video on. Raju, your fan is in the video. That's wrong. Galat hai. And the other thing is that people should have a knowledge of, in a Zoom meeting, to turn their microphone on, talk, and turn it off. Let's become professional, because I do a lot of Zoom meetings and we need to become professional. We turn the microphone off, we speak, we turn it off. Like, for example, when you're on a radio, when I'm piloting the boat and I'm on my radio, I have to press a button to talk on the radio, to talk to the Coast Guard or to the harbor master or to another boat. I have to press the button, talk, and release the button, and then here, press the button, talk, release the button, here. And so let us do that with Zoom. If your mic should be off all the time, but when you talk, you should be aware that I have to turn my microphone on, say something, and turn it off, so there's no feedback, right? So we have to become that way, because I want everybody to be a professional. There is no room for unprofessional people in business. And I just did a 12-week course where I taught people about business, and it's very important that we do everything possible to be ready to do business. All the time we must be ready. Okay, which means what? When you leave the house, you must always be groomed. Groomed bolote kya? What does groomed mean? Groomed doesn't mean look fantastic, because God gave me the face He gave me, and I can only look as good as I can look. I cannot look better. I'm only as good as I look, right? That is important. So that's fine. We are given these attributes, and I'm not going to go to a plastic surgeon, change my nose, make me this way. No. I'm good the way I am. But groomed means that I'm going to do my hair, see that my clothes are decent. I don't have to look like I'm going in a suit and a tie and everything, but I do need to look presentable when I'm out there. My beard is trimmed always. If you grow a beard, you either trim it or don't grow a beard. If you're a sadhu, you're not a businessman. It's okay. If you're a professor, it's okay. If you're a scientist, it's okay. If you're an engineer, maybe it's okay. But if you're a business person, things have to be in good shape. Why? I'll answer. We need to answer the question why many times. Sometimes it's better not to ask why, just do. But sometimes we have to say why. Why do I need to look groomed? Why can't I look natural? People judge you. We are not supposed to judge, but guess what? Everybody judges with their eyes. So if I can look the best I can, nobody can find fault with me. But if there's something I can do to make me look better, then somebody will say, कमाल है यार, उसने अपना बाल भी नहीं किया, उसका दाढ़ी देखा आपने? He is not serious. He's looking like avara. Then as soon as I don't look right, they are judging me, and therefore they might not listen to what I say. And in business, everybody has to listen to what everybody says. And if I'm psychologically going to not listen to you because you're not well groomed, that is an issue. So always be well groomed and always be prepared. What is well groomed? Well groomed is prepared for the opportunity to meet somebody who might be good for your business, who might have what you need, who will not judge you by your appearance and then give you a chance to speak. And your appearance is only good for like maybe 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. That's it. After that, it's what comes out of your mouth. After the initial appearance, it's what comes out of your mouth. And if good stuff doesn't come out of your mouth, you're not going to be in business. You're not going to be successful. You're just not going to be. So how does good stuff come out of your mouth? I'll tell you how good stuff comes out of my mouth. I put good stuff in my brain. Good stuff comes out of my mouth. You put junk in your brain, junk comes out of your mouth. Why do teenagers talk junk? Because they watch junk. I was a teenager. I used to talk junk because we used to go to the movies. We thought that the movie star was that's how I want to be. No, I want to actually be like my father and my mother and the people that are close to me who are successful. I don't want to be like a movie star, because when I was a young man, I did not stop to think that movie stars are not real. When they're acting somebody else's character. So it's a fake. It's fake, nakli. A movie star is nakli. Now when he or she is not acting, they're asli. But when they're acting, they're nakli. They're behaving like the character written by the writer, the screenplay. And the director says, you do this way. So that I don't want to be like a movie star. When I was a teenager, I wanted to be like a movie star. I grew up and matured and said, no, that's not what I want to be. Now, do I like movie stars? Of course I like movie stars, just like you like movie stars. And most of them are really good looking and all that fun stuff. So that's all good. That's all good. But I don't want to be like them. But youngsters now with YouTube, with Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, they got junk going in their head. So they always talk junk. And if I meet a young person that doesn't talk junk, I am excited. Because I'm like, this person is reading, is putting good stuff in their mind. They're good students in university or college. Obviously, they are not talking junk. And that is so nice. So you must be able to put good stuff in your head so you talk nice. Because your appearance is only good for 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, let's really be nice. 5 minutes. After that, better be this stuff that comes out of your mouth. It better be. Now, if you're in business, you have to know the business you're in. You have to know the business you're in. And that is so critical to be able to tell, okay, how important it is to know your business so that you can talk and don't talk out of line. Always build a conversation, okay? We have a lot of people over here, and Indians love mathematics. We are known to know we are good at mathematics. We're good at science. You know, we make some of the world's best engineers and scientists. Okay? If they're given an opportunity, we make the best engineers and scientists. If they're not given an opportunity, you cannot argue. You don't know who that person is. If they are unpad, you don't know. Do you have an Albert Einstein or do you have a nothing? We don't know because bichara unpad hai. But if you give him an opportunity, you'll realize that as a culture, we're very good at science and mathematics. And also language. Lots of Indians speak more than one language. Other cultures, they speak one language. Indians go to the UN and speak in English. Other people need interpretation. So we're even good at language, but we are not known for language because we have a heavy accent. So people misunderstand an accent for good language. Indians speak very good languages, but the accent is heavy. So what? At least we speak good languages. And a lot of different languages. And here's the thing. If you speak French, German, English, Italian, they all have the same alphabet. You speak Punjabi, Hindi, Tamil, Gujarati, they all have different alphabets. So we are really good at language, but we're not known for language. Because, why? They judge based on accent. And so they're like a lot of Americans say, you were born in America, right? I said, no, I was born and raised in India. I came here as a young man. But you don't have an accent. I say, I do. You just are expecting the heavy accent. I have an Indian accent. It's just not a heavy accent. I don't speak like an American completely. You might think so, you're wrong. I can speak very close to an American, but I do have an accent. They'll know I'm not from here. And then they ask me, where are you from? I say, from India. You don't have an accent. I had a professor, I have a doctor, they have a heavy accent. I'm like, I don't have a heavy accent because I'm a musician. They go, what does that mean? I say, I have a good ear. I listen and I say like that. Because I'm a musician. I can hear something and say it. If you tell me something in Swahili, which is an African language, if I listen to it, I can repeat it. I don't know what it means, but I can say it just like an African. Because I have a good ear for music. So musicians don't need to have an accent. They have a slight accent. So I want to teach you something very important. And this is like what I had taught yesterday to a group of people, Americans. And they were very excited. So the biggest problem with our business is that we don't prospect enough people. That's the biggest problem. We don't prospect enough people. And the reason why we don't prospect enough people is that if you had a cure for cancer, a real cure, not a maybe cure. Let's say each one of you had a real cure for cancer. A real cure. It's in your hand. Only you have it. Nobody else has it. Would you keep quiet? Raise your hand if you will keep quiet. You won't keep quiet. You will talk and you will talk and you will talk and you will talk about the cure you have for cancer. And do you know something? If you have a cure for cancer today, 2022, May 25th, if you have a cure for cancer today, chances are nobody will believe you. Right or wrong? Chances are nobody will believe you. Even scientists will say, the guy comes with a cure for cancer. You got to be joking. Nobody will believe you. You go, but I have a cure for cancer. I can heal cancer patients. They will not die. This is a cure. This is not a treatment. Treatment is different from cure. You have a cure. Even the scientists will not believe you. You have what's called an uphill battle. That means you have a tremendous challenge to overcome to convince some key people in high places to believe you. That is your first job. You're like, but I have a cure for all of humanity. Why should it be difficult? It is. Because human beings naturally don't believe each other. Because why? I'll tell you why. From the time you can remember, whether it's your best friend or some child when you were young who was bothering you and not your friend, even your friend lied to you. Even your people who were bothering you lied to you. Your parents sometimes lie to you. You go, why? Daddy, phone आया आपके लिए. उनको कह देना मैं नहीं हूं यहां पर. That's a lie. That's a lie. For a 5-year-old, अरे मेरे पिताजी ने झूठ बोला. वो यहां पर है और कहता नहीं है. You see, we start to doubt people from the time we are children. And what happens is, when you're an adult, we're telling you, try to believe people. And you're like, yeah, right, sure. The politicians are lying, the journalists are lying, the United Nations is lying, my bloody prime minister or president is lying, my governor is lying, my children are lying, I catch them lying, मैंने नहीं किया और किया कब? एक ही तो है घर में, एक ही बच्चा है घर में, तूने नहीं किया तो किसने किया? But you see, as soon as we lie and hear lies, we don't trust anybody. So why would somebody trust you if you have the cure for cancer? A real cure for cancer, you have a challenge. So don't think that some people don't have a challenge. Everybody has a challenge. It's called credibility. It's very incredible to, on May 25th, 2022, to say I have a cure for cancer, and you have no background, no research, nobody has known you, nobody knows who you are. You say I have a cure for cancer. Kamal hai. Where do you come from? Kaun ho aap? And then they start to Google and find out you're like a nobody. So how do you have a cure for cancer? Well, Bhagwan ne mujhe diya ye cheez. Arey, get lost. So your credibility is always the case, and so we have to talk to a lot of people to get some people to believe in us. Now, when you have cure for cancer, some people will believe you, but not the real people. They'll be like easy people to convince. And those easy people to convince are not who you want to back you. You want solid people to back you, to endorse you, and you won't get that right away. So in our business, the easy people will say, okay, let's do it. And they'll join and won't do anything. Why? Because they're easy. The difficult ones you want, you're not prospecting. Why? It's called self-esteem. Your self-esteem makes you worried that इसको बोल दिया तो वो क्या समझेगा कि मैं एमवे का बिजनेस कर रहा हूं. I don't, and he is very successful, she is very successful, she's a professor, he's a doctor, he's a big businessman. I cannot, but they are the people we want, but we cannot prospect them because of low self-esteem. We think we are less than them, or what we are doing is less than what they are doing. That is the crisis. So I want to raise your self-esteem in a simple, factual realization. Simple, factual realization. I want to raise your self-esteem. So write this down. Write this down. This is critical, and read it again and again and again. I sometimes, when I'm interested in something, not all the time, when I'm interested in something, if I see it once, it's in my head. But when I'm not interested, I can see it 10 times and it won't remain in my head. That's a normal human being, not a genius. A normal human being. Sometimes people call me genius. I'm like, no. That was something I liked, so I got it right away. But if I don't like it, I'm just like you. I don't remember. And that is everybody. What you like, you remember. What you don't like, you don't remember. Or you don't care. So write this down. I saw this and I got it right away. I did my research. Very interesting.
Hey, we ought to turn off the hot water tank.
Hold on 1 minute. I've got a worker over here who's asking me a question, and he's very important.
I just want to.
Yes, sir.
I want to turn off the hot water heater.
I don't know where it is.
Okay.
Do you?
Let me see.
Because you can turn it off. We're not using any water, so. So now, write this down. 1 in 5 million people will win the lottery. That's the odds. 1 in 5 million people win the lottery. Still, millions of people buy the lottery. Even though the chance is 1 in 5 million. Now, 1 in 3.7 million. These are actual facts, statistical facts, okay? These are not Leo bol raha hai. No. These are real statistical facts. 1 in 5 million will win the lottery. 1 in 3.7 million will be in a plane crash. People still fly, buy tickets. 1 in 3.7 million people will meet with a plane crash, will be in a plane crash. 1 in 4,000 will meet with a car crash. Small accident, big accident, medium accident, 1 in 4,000 meets with a car crash. Now here's the kicker. Kicker meaning the main thing. In American and in English, there's a saying, the kicker. This is the kicker. That means, you know, the penalty shot? The kicker who kicks the penalty shot is very critical, right? So that's used as a euphemism. It's a figure of speech. Here's the kicker. 1 in 400 trillion is the odds of you being born. 1 in 400 trillion is the odds of you being born. And 1 trillion is 1,000 billion. And 1 billion is 1,000 million. And just so you know, 1 million is 10 lakhs. So 400 trillion to 1 that you are born and I'm born. How important are you? On odds of 1 to 4 trillion, God made you come on earth. Are you important? Did you come for a reason, or is it just chance? If you talk to some scientists, they say it's only chance, the Big Bang Theory. I'm like, get lost. The things that have happened in my life have nothing to do with the Big Bang. And you cannot explain it. It's not scientific. It's God, who's the ultimate scientist, who breaks the laws of physics, who breaks the laws of nature, who's in charge. So to me, 1 in 400 trillion that you're born. And it's even worse. The odds are even higher that you have no handicap. Your mind is working fine. You can smile, you can laugh, you can cry, you can walk, you can talk, you can hear, you can smell, you can analyze. All these things are even worse in the odds. But guess what? Forget about all these things. The fact that you and I are here is 1 in 400 trillion. That we are born the way we are, with my DNA. Can you understand how important you are? Because if you win the lottery, you're very important. You know why? Not because you have an intellect, not because you're good looking. 1 in 5 million, you were special. You won the lottery. So if you are 1 in 400 trillion to be born, are you special? Of course you are. So it should raise your self-esteem to realize that I am on this earth for a purpose. You did not come here 1 in 400 trillion to just be. You did not come here for just that. And let me tell you something. Your job is not your purpose. Your job is just to help you pay your bills and live. Your job is just, you have to do that, in society. If you were born 5,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, you still have to work to live, because you got to hunt, you got to chase your prey, to kill something, to grow something, to eat. You cannot just hang out and eat and live. So you have a purpose, but that purpose is not your career. Your career is just to pay your bills and live. What is your purpose? Your purpose is given to you by God, because He gave you the 400 trillion to want to be born. And you know what? I believe this business was given to you by God. This is a very odd business. It's not a normal business. In fact, I don't call it a business. I call it a formula, a system. Because a business has overhead, you have none. A business has manufacturing or delivering a service. You don't manufacture and you don't deliver anything. A business has, employees, receivables, payables. You owe money. You buy product, you owe money. You sell product, they owe you money. Sometimes if you're in business, you give credit to your customers. We don't have any of that. We know you so well. We have such a great group, but we don't give each other credit. I don't give you credit because you're my friend and I know you for so long. I know you'll pay me. No. It's cash and carry, man. There's no credit. There's no problem. There's no debt. There's no receivables. There's no payables. There's no HR, human resources. There's no conflict. Two people come to you at different times. You know, that person did this to me, they're working for you. They're all working for you. And that person, they're complaining about somebody. Then that person leaves, and one day later, that person whom they complained came to you and said, this guy did this. You got political stuff going on. You have to deal with all of that stuff. Do you deal with that here? Nothing. So I call this a formula to become wealthy. It's not a business. A business has real trauma. I think a business is like a headache. And we all deal with the headache because we make a lot of money. But what if you could make the money without the headache? What if you don't care if your employee works or not? You cannot run a business and say, I don't care if the employee works or not. We can build this business and I don't care if you talk to anybody and do the business or not. I sponsored you, now it's up to you to want to do something or no. I don't care if you don't do anything. Fine. If you do something, great. You see, This is not a business. This is a unique formula. And I believe this formula was given to us by the Almighty, by God, so that we can actually, with no issues, build a business. Now, what gives us a problem? I'll tell you what gives you the problem. The fact that you have sponsored somebody, they told you they were going to build this business and they didn't. So if 10 people did that, you're like, ye nahi hone wala. This is not going to happen. Meanwhile, you go to the seminar and you see that people are crossing stage at different levels and you're like, what kamal hai yaar, ye ho raha hai. Then a set thing happens in your brain. मैं नहीं कर सकता, वो लोग कर सकते हैं, मैं नहीं कर सकता. That's self-esteem. You're 400 trillion to 1, you're born. Don't do that. Don't do that. You know why you're struggling? You know why I struggle? That's God's way of giving us wisdom. The more you struggle, the wiser you get. People who don't struggle is a rich man's son or daughter. Everything is given to them. They've never struggled. They have no wisdom. They don't even make sense when they talk. They're like, "Hey, पागल है यार, लेकिन पैसा बहुत है इसके पास." We associate everything with money, and then when we are asked, we say money isn't the answer. Money, nothing. I'm good. I don't need to be rich. But we associate everything with money. Character. And my wife, I don't even know if she still believes after 36 years when I tell her, but I really am going to tell you something that you might not believe. And that is, I love to make money, but I don't care about money. I love to make money. I really do. I enjoy it. It's exciting. It's fun. But I really don't care about it. It does not drive me. What drives me is what God has given me, and that is the dream. That's what drives me. I don't care about it. But I love to make money. You go, that's a contradiction. No, it isn't. That's what everybody should be. If money doesn't run you, and God is your number one issue, you're good, man. You are so good. You'll have more money. It's funny. It's funny. I'm going to use two examples. One is, anybody raise your hand who has done martial arts? Martial arts. Karate, kung fu, anything? Anybody? Okay. I used to box and I did some martial arts. Not enough, but I did enough to find this fact. When you hit somebody in martial arts, not boxing, you hit him like this, right? You can hit him on the chin, you can hit him in the face, you can hit him on the shoulder and break the shoulder. You can hit him in the chest, and you hit and you put the hand through the chest. You go right through. So you put your whole body and you go boom, and that will give him such a shot, boom, he'll fall. That is taught to you, and there are 9 levels, and the 9th level is called the black belt, right? Everybody knows that. So the first level is called the white belt, then it graduates to pink and yellow and blah blah brown and then black. Black belt is 9. level. When you're in the first 4 or 5 levels, you're taught to put your hand right through, like the guy is transparent. And they tell you, because it's such a violent, it's martial arts, it's not a sport. Boxing is a sport. Martial arts is not a sport. It's self-defense, as in no offense. Just defend yourself. You are not supposed to start a fight. You're not supposed to get aggressive. And you're supposed to diffuse a problem. And when you cannot do anything else and the person is coming at you physically, then and only then will you defend yourself. That is the baseline of martial arts. Now they have sports. They made it like everything has become a sport. But really, it's not a sport. Now, what happens after the 5th level, 6th level? At the highest level, it's called a death punch, where you go right through and just before you touch, you pull it back. So what happens is just before you touch, you pull it back. You go like this full, and just before you touch, you pull it back. So what happens is you can never hit it exactly, so you will touch. The mental thing is just before you touch, pull it back, but usually you'll hit the person and pull it back. Because you cannot get that precise. When you hit the person like you're going through them and pull it back, they die instantaneously. They don't fall. They're dead. And why is that? For the last 5 or 6 levels, you're taught to throw it right through them. And at the higher levels, you're told to pull it back, because that's the death punch. Internal bleeding. You hit and pulled it back, you disrupted the inside and it started to bleed and they die. And that's why you'll find a black belt will walk away from any kind of insult. Maki gali, anything, they'll walk away. Because they will not get involved. Because they know their lethal behavior. I'll tell you another thing. You play the guitar, I play the guitar. In the beginning, it's the same as martial arts. Same analogy. You press a chord, and the first string you can hear, and the other strings are all like flat. You cannot hear them because the fingers are all like touching and it's not ringing. It's not playing right. So it takes you months of regular practice to play the chord so all the strings sound, and then to change the chord and always be on all the strings sounding when you're playing the chord. That is the intermediate level of guitar playing. The high level is you press the string, and when you're striking, pull it off, just like the punch. And that sounds beautiful. It doesn't sound scratchy. It sounds really good. And to reach that level, you have to go through all kinds of difficulty to get to that level. Our business is like that. You learn to prospect. And you learn to get very good at saying hello to strangers and having a little chat. But when you get good, at the right minute you pull back. My mother used to say this when she was alive. When I was 5 years old, I sang one sentence solo in a cathedral. Cathedral is the highest level of church. I sang one sentence solo when I was 5 because my mother told the conductor of the choir there were 64 voices. That means 64 people were singing. And my mother said to the conductor, who was from Romania, in Madras, now known as Chennai, but in those days it was Madras. And we were saying, I used to go to church with my mom and dad and my 2 sisters who were older than me, and we were in the choir, and I was like in the choir, but I was 5 years old, like I was just a voice. But my mother knew I had a good voice. So there was this one spot, and the Romanian conductor with a very heavy Romanian accent said, I wish I had a male soprano. A male soprano is a young boy who sings like a woman because his voice hasn't broken. You know how the voice changes at 12 or 13 for a boy? It suddenly goes deep from being a very high voice. So my mother says, my son can do it. And I was like, no, that's crazy. Like, I mean, and we're going to sing with thousands of people in the bloody audience for Easter. I'm like, no. In my head, no. I didn't say no. In my head, I'm like, Are, come on. She has offered me to get butchered. But the lady said, he's too young. So my mother says, try him. And my mother was the #1 soloist. So the conductor said, okay, I'll humor the #1 soloist. And then when her son is not good enough, I'll tell her. I'll try. And so she told me, come here, young boy. Come here, Leo. So I went up like a good, I was told to listen. And my dad was also there. He also used to sing in the choir. So I cannot disrespect, because my father was a military guy. He'd shoot me dead. He had a gun. Not in church, but after church. So I went forward and she says, okay, let's do this one sentence here. And then she played it on the organ. And then she said, I want you to sing this part. You don't have to say the words, just go la 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 la. That's all. And I did it because that was not difficult for me. And we were all in the choir and everybody, there was no audience. This was choir practice. We were practicing for 2.5 months before Easter for the actual performance at the big church service. So she looked at my mother and says, he's going to be fine. Meri phati. I was like, Arey yaar. Now I have to perform in front of all these strangers. The choir, I already knew, uncle, auntie, and everybody I knew. But doing it in front of the congregation and the other people coming on Easter, every mother and father and their children show up at church twice a year for Easter and Christmas. We call them EC Christians. Easter, Christmas, EC Christians. They don't come ever, but for Easter and Christmas they come. So the church is packed, standing room only, like a rock and roll concert. And guess what? I sang. So I used to sing. My mother told me when I was a young boy, she said, son, sing one less song. I looked at her and said, what does that mean? She said, if you're going to sing 15 songs you're performing, sing 14. So I said, why? She says, then they'll want more. Then your audience will want more. If you sing one less song, they'll want more. If you sing the full amount that they are looking for, then they don't have to want you anymore. They're done. They've already heard everything you got. So always sing one less song, which means what? Sing just enough for the audience to be happy, but not as much as they are satisfied. Very amazing statement from a woman who was very wise, my mother. So you have to prospect people at the higher level and say one thing less. Don't say everything. So they want more. Sing one less song. So they want more. And when they want more, you have your second meeting, your follow-up. And then there again, one less. Don't answer all the questions. Some questions you say, that's a great question. I will answer that question. I'm running a little out of time. Blah, blah, blah. But we'll get together again. So then you got them for the third. And always keep them going. Now, you have to learn from the masters. Who are the masters in society? Shall I tell you? The television shows. The television shows, the series. You call them serials. We call cereals what we eat for breakfast. We call them series. It's a series of shows. It's not a cereal, but Indians call them cereals. So anyway, in a serial, what they do is they end one episode with something that keeps you wanting the next episode. And then the next episode, they leave you with something that you go, man, I want the next episode. I can't wait for another week, but I want to find out what happened. Kya hua wahan par? That is a master in business, in show business. Learn from them. Always leave the prospect and the new IBO wanting more. Don't give them everything. It just doesn't work that way. They will dismiss you. They'll say, ha, mujhe malum hai. And they don't need you anymore. And they don't know it, but they need you till they go diamond, and even after that, they need you. They need you, period. They'll never not need you, but they don't know that in the beginning. So in the beginning, you have to do that. And make it a practice so that you always do that automatically. You don't have to think you do that. It just comes naturally. That's a great question. At the end of your little session, they have a question or two. That's a great question, but I'm running a little short on time. We'll get back together. We're going to be partners, right? They haven't even signed up, but you're going to tell them, we're going to be partners. We'll talk about it, and I have to run. I hope you don't mind. Get out. Leave. Sing one less song. Pull back your punch so that you kill the opposition. You're not killing them, but you're killing the opposition. What is the opposition? The stuff in their mind, the stuff in their brain that's going to say when you leave, lekin, parantu.
No, they did say that this thing makes
No. You want to eliminate the lekin and the parantu. Once you have lekin and parantu, you don't have a IBO. You have a prospect. You want to convert the prospect into an IBO, you have to eliminate the lekin and the parantu. But you keep them coming because you cannot eliminate the lekin and the parantu in one meeting. No, it takes multiple years to completely eliminate the parantu and the lekin. And in the meantime, they can go silver. There are silvers that still have parantu and lekin. It takes time. That doesn't mean you cannot build a business for years. No. You build a business, but the Lekin and the Parantu take a long time. And you have to be prepared for the long game. We call it the long game in the West. It's like the longest game. You know what the longest game is? It's not a marathon, even though the West calls it a marathon. The longest game is full cricket with 2 innings. It takes 25 days. That's the longest game. One day cricket is not long. Football is not long. Basketball is not long.
Yeah, so it's not to just take 8.
Marathon is not long. The real long game is full cricket with 2 innings.
Okay.
Man, that's a long game.
Yeah,
That's such a long game that they've eliminated that. The test matches are like hardly important. They're all one day cricket now, right? Right or wrong?
Okay.
Why is it one day cricket? Because
Plan then.
the population was not working. Yeah, they got in those days there was no TV, so they had the little
Bye-bye.
transistor radio, and they weren't working. They went to work, but they were listening to the game, live broadcast on the radio. Maybe I'm too old for you. But I'm telling you the truth. Everybody was walking around with a radio, and some guy didn't have the money, didn't have the radio. 2 people are listening to the same radio. That was the situation when there was a test match, when there was a cricket match. And so the productivity has went down. Now you're a global powerhouse. You're a big player in the global market. You cannot afford a 5-day cricket. You cannot. So you have 1-day cricket. Even that is too long, but उससे कम कौन कर सकता है? 50 overs is a minimum, right? Minimum, right? 50 overs? So come on. Even that's too long, but chalo. That's as short as we can make
Now,
it.
Leo,
So
now they make it 20.
20 overs.
They reduce 50, now 20.
Yeah, that is fantastic. That means like in 2 or 3 hours the game's over. I'm telling you, man, the long game is the full cricket match, 2 innings, full innings. There's only one not out batsman. Otherwise, everybody gets to bat full time. Till you're out, everybody gets to bat. In 20 overs, you got nothing. Like most people don't bat. They're just on the team. Arey yaar, kamal hai. Now, we have a long game. This is a long game. This is not a short game. Even when you're winning, it's a long game because it takes 2-3 years to get the Lekin and the Parantu out of the mind. And those of you who are on this broadcast that haven't put your video on, you're all in the Lekin Parantu category because you just haven't put your video on. So you're still Lekin Parantu. Theek hai. Next session, you're not going to be on, I promise you. I'm going to ask the moderator to literally, we're going to cancel them. They're not going to be on. Who is in charge? Mukund or Sharad? Or who's doing the Zoom meeting? Mukund, right? Hello? I want to talk to you.
Yes.
Are you in charge of the entire Zoom thing?
Yeah.
I want you to eliminate everybody that does not have their video on. If there is one person with the video on next week, I'm going to put my video off. I'm serious. But the Parantu and Lekin is going to last for a long time and it's okay. We are patient. Have I told you how many meetings have I done online? Zoom meetings. You can't even count, right? Right?
Right.
You cannot count, right? And now I'm telling you, I want everybody's video on. I'm also patient. I'm not like, pehle se bol diya. No, I'm patient. But now it's time to like make the rules stick. I made it clear about a year ago that I wanted the videos on, but obviously many people are not responding. So now they're just not going to be allowed to attend. That is a prerequisite to attend. Is that you get yourself together, clean up your environment, and put your video on, and keep it on for the whole duration. In the middle, if the video is off, eliminate them from the meeting. Now, if you have to use the bathroom, you can do that. Leave your video on and go to the bathroom. That's fine. If you have a child that needs your assistance, you have your microphone off. If the child says, "Daddy, Mommy," you go attend to them. Don't neglect the household. But I want the video on. I want to look at a wall or a human being. I don't want your name. I'm done with that from next time onwards. Okay? So now I want to talk to you about two more things, and then we're done. Very important. This is an attitude that you have to either have or develop. It's not a talent. Even a talent, you develop it, but you have to be born with it to develop it. A talent, a kala, right? You have to be born with a kala to develop it to a high level. But a skill, you can have zero and you can develop it. An attitude, you can have zero and you can develop it. So we're not asking for kala because that's not our business. Our business is teachable and acquirable. You can acquire the attitude, you can acquire the skill. Now, there are two types of people. I always break it down to workable situations. I told you that you are 1 in 400 trillion. I did some research. I just am not making this stuff up. 1 in 5 million will meet with will win a lottery ticket. 1 in 3.7 million will die. Will have a plane crash. They might not die, but they'll be in a plane crash. 1 in 4,000 will be in a car crash, and 1 in 400 trillion is the odds of you being born, and you are here. So you're very special. So have self-esteem, because God had some esteem to bring you here. Why would He bring you here? There's a purpose, and your purpose is not your job. Don't get brainwashed by society that says, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm an engineer, that's my purpose. No. That is for you to pay your bills and live a good life and moderate life, existence, whatever. But that is really for material things. Your real purpose is given by God, and that is your dream. And your dream is linked. Always. Is it for himself he built it, or did he build it to have other people enjoy? He built it for other people to enjoy, and it was his dream. So your dream is always linked to other people's progress, joy, happiness. Everything, your dream is connected to somebody, to other people, not one person, people. So your dream is your purpose, but your job is important. You got to live, you got to be nice, you got to have a car, you have to have a house, you have to have nice vacations, children going to school. Okay, good. But that's not your purpose. Now, just to prove, you have two kinds of people on earth. One that is biased to action. Bias meaning they lean forward towards action. They lean forward towards action. Write this down. One is biased towards action. Bias means I like it. I have a bias for my daughter because she's my daughter. You might say she's this, that, and the other, but I don't say that. Because she's my daughter, I have a bias. Bias means you are so liking something that you will do it at any cost. That's a bias. So there is one type of human that has a bias towards action. Now, all action is not without thought. But the thought process is very quick and decisive. Write this down. The thought process is quick and decisive. Now, action without thought is stupidity. We're not talking about stupid people. We're talking about good people, intelligent people, people who use their minds, who listen to things, who are wanting to make their life better. Okay? We're talking about those kinds of people. Now, the person who is biased towards action will weigh out the consequences, make a decision and move. Move means what? Move forward? No, move backwards. Move is move. They'll weigh out the consequences and either move forward or get out. They won't stay. They're either in or out. They won't stay. That's the bias towards action. I'm that person. All business people are that people. They weigh things out, make a decision, either yes or no. There's no, well, you know, they will either make a decision or get out. They're deciders, they're decision makers. That's a bias towards action. The people around the people who have a bias towards action are very uncomfortable. Why? Because they make fast decisions. They evaluate and make fast decisions. Yes, no, yes.
Should I take a minute?
Yes, please.
Okay. This is the pump that was in there. It looks to me like this is your new pump.
Yes.
That you had down there. Somebody's taken the switch off of this pump
And put it over there.
and put it on that
Right.
one. And now that switch has failed. But this is a failed switch as well.
Right.
So
We need a new switch or a new pump.
now that's the question. And what I'll do is either way I'm gonna take this to Largo. That's the Depco pump. They have a assembly that we could replace.
Maybe.
If you said that pump made a lot of noise, so we'll just see. They'll test both pumps and tell me the motors are good. If not, then we got a new pump. But
Thank you.
One of these probably got a good motor. So.
Excellent. I think
I'll be back.
I think the old one has a good motor. The new one,
That's
the
what
motor,
I think.
yeah.
Which is
Okay.
that one. There.
And the new one, the motor is bad, and then the switch went
now
bad.
the switch went bad. So okay.
So you had two zips over here, one good one here.
Yeah, replace
but
that switch.
let's figure it out from them.
I'll do
They'll
that.
tell you.
They'll test me and tell
Thank
me.
you.
Sure. All right.
Are you coming back?
I will because you have no water. And you can't
Yes.
use city water right
Yes.
now. So I will be back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're a good man. So, the person who has a bias towards action is very uncomfortable for everybody around them because they make fast decisions, they evaluate real fast, and they make a decision and they stick to it. If they back out, they back out. If they go forward, they go forward. Now, if they back out and it's wrong, they're good with that decision. They take full responsibility. And if they go forward and they're wrong, they take full responsibility for their decisions. Now, these people who make fast decisions and move make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. But they make a lot of money. Because they don't back off. They go, they go, they go. And how many times can you be wrong? They say even a clock is right twice a day. A bad clock. A clock that doesn't work is right twice a day, right? Right? So, How many times can you make a mistake? If you keep going, you will succeed. And once you start to succeed, you start getting better at evaluating fast and making decisions, and your ratio goes higher for success. It's all very simple if you think about it. It's very complex if you don't think about it. Now, who's the other type of individual? The first person I've told you is biased towards action. A second person is biased towards thought. Now, one is not better than the other. We need both. In society, in an organization, in life, in schools, in the military, we need both. We cannot have just one. If everybody was an action, decision, moving forward kind of person, we'd be having chaos in society. So it's important to understand that the person who is biased towards thought is a lousy business person, a terrible business person, a horrible business person, a zero business person. But they are fantastic accountants. They are fantastic doctors and lawyers. They are fantastic pilots. They don't ever have a question once they move forward. They've answered every question. They think and then move. So why aren't they successful in business? Because business is so fast. If you don't make a decision, it's gone. The opportunity is gone. Gone. You think about that building that's up for sale and it's like a really good building, and you think about it for 3 or 4 days and somebody else bought the building. Boom, you lost. You see? So one is not better than the other. Society needs both. In fact, all the intellectual people on earth are people of thought. A lot of business people don't even have a degree. Both the Facebook CEO and Bill Gates both don't have a degree. They're some of the richest people in the world. So don't knock the person who is biased towards thought. You might think that I'm putting them down. No, they're fantastic people. But they're lousy business people. My dad was a fantastic guy. He fought 4 wars. He saved a lot of people from dying. But he was a lousy businessman. I am a fantastic businessman. I'm most probably a lousy army officer, you know. So understand, we need all types of people to function in society. So don't disrespect somebody who thinks a lot. They join the business because it costs nothing to join the business, but then they think and think and think, and they can't even show the plan because they have to be perfectly showing the plan. They have to have all the answers, so they don't even show the plan. You're like, kya yaar? Tang ho gaya main. Get used to it. They're very important in society. Maybe not in your business. So who are we looking for? We're looking for people who are either biased to action or are willing to change. There are some people who are biased to thought that have changed. Now, what makes a person change? What makes a person change? I'll tell you what makes a person change. The dream. If that person who's seriously biased to thought and has a good position, they're in a good position, but they're not living their dream. They're in a good position, they're doing well, they're living well, they're paying their bills, they have money, they have investments, everything is going good, but they're working, and they're not living their dream. That person might, not 100%, might get tired and say, I need to change. If that person is leaning towards biased thought and they have had enough and they need their dream, they cannot die without at least running for their dream, they are willing to change, then and only then will you have a person who's leaning towards thought, who will do what needs to be done. They'll take a little longer, but they will be fantastic. Now, I have a very personal story to tell you. My wife, whom you all know, not all of you maybe, but a lot of you know my wife. She's a lovely lady. Nobody who knows her can say anything bad about her. Nobody. They can say bad about me because I can be a controversial guy. But my wife, not one person have I met in 36 years that has even had a facial expression that was wrong towards her. Forget about words. You know how we can tell somebody is unhappy, right? They're masking it, they're smiling, but they're not, right? So we are very perceptive. Human beings are very perceptive. But I have not seen one person in the last 36 years who have said something about my wife or who doesn't like her. They love her. And when she's not there, they ask for her and they say, she's always smiling. She's such a bright person. We're so happy. Where is she? Like, it's my fault that she's not with me. I'm like, I'm sorry. She's just not with me. Oh, you know, she's such a pleasant person. Blah, 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 blah. So, maybe thoda tang aa gaya. I'm here, man. Like, why you want my wife? Main hu na. So, my wife, I'm going to say something that will start off being insulting, but it will end with the highest compliment ever. She was the lousiest business candidate I've ever come across in my 51 years and 6 months of doing business. When I met her. And I didn't marry her to have a business partner. I married her because I fell in love with her and she's going to be my wife. What, you don't care what it is. Whether she's red, white, yellow, blue, black, whether she's tall or thin, good looking or not good looking. I fell in love and end of conversation. Ho gaya. Ho gaya. But when she was working, she was fantastic at her work. That's why I hired her. She worked for me. I was her boss. So she was fantastic at her work. But she says, I want to get into sales. I started to laugh. Because she wouldn't lift up the phone that was ringing in our house. She said, you lift it. I'm like, it's ringing, you're close to it, lift it, say hello. If it's for me, give it to me. If it's for you, talk to them. She says, no, you lift it. She wouldn't, an incoming call, she wouldn't answer, and she wants to be in sales. That's like the height of stupidity. But of course, I have a sense of humor. So I said, isko sikhayenge hum. So I put her in a new store that I opened. And I told her, you're going to run the store. She said, oh, no. I said, well, you want to be in sales, you're going to run the store. She said, no. What I want to do is, I want to learn how to sell and you run the store or get a manager or something. And I'm slowly, I said, no, you're going to run the store. And she did not believe me. And then the store opened. First day, I was there at 10 o'clock. Store opens at 10 to 9. So I was there at 10 o'clock. And we had coffee and some pastry to eat, like a breakfast, like a croissant or a muffin or something like that. You know, we had, and we chatted and nobody came into the store. It's a brand new store. It's like there's nothing going on. The lights are on, beautiful clothes, the mirror is shining, this thing. The back room, there are 3 people sewing because we had a sewing room behind every store. And so we had stuff that they were going to put new stuff on the racks as they're sewing. And she was in charge of the design room, so she knows how to handle those girls in the back. But no customers. So fine, we were chatting and all that. And then after coffee and a little chit chat, it was about 10:30, 10:45. I said, okay, see you. And she said, very good. And I said, I got things to do. She said, you can't leave me alone. And there was no sales help. All alone. But there are 3 people working in the back, so if she has to use the bathroom or if somebody got to go to lunch, they can go and buy lunch and stuff. That's not like she's all alone there. But on the floor of the store, the other people are in a different back room, sewing and cutting and doing stuff. She's like, you can't leave. I said, watch me. And I left, started my car, and in those days, cell phones were brand new. Only I had a cell phone. She didn't have one. And the signals were so bad, there were like miles where you couldn't get a call. And then suddenly the phone will ring, and then they're like, hey, phone rang. Wow. Yeah. And it was the bag phone. You don't even know what a bag phone is. Because India got phones much later, so you never had a bag phone. A bag phone was a phone that was this big. See how big this is? That's my face. This big in a bag with an antenna. And you put it on your shoulder, and it had an antenna sticking up, and the phone would ring and you'd answer from the bag, like. That was the first cell phone. Everybody knows it in America. You guys don't know it because you got phones later. Because you got phones later, you don't know what the bag phone is. It was like a joke, but it was state of the art. If you had a bag phone, man, you were rich. You knew stuff. You were like successful. And I had a bag phone. Then I got everybody a bag phone. My sister a bag phone, my wife a bag phone, the managers, all the managers had a bag. Everybody had a bag phone. And we were like in style. And people would say, wow, you have a bag phone? I said, everybody in my company that's important has a bag phone. Wow, really? You got them all phones? I said, and they thought like I was like kingpin. It was so funny. So she would, and that bag phone only worked like once in a while if you were near a signal. And the signals were not enough. You drove in your car for half an hour, that's like 30 miles in America, which is 50 kilometers, right? For 50 kilometers, there's no signal. Then suddenly you get beep, 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 signals. And so then if somebody calls you when you have a signal, you answer the phone, and right in between, when it's very important, ding, no phone, gone. And you can't call back for another half an hour. It was a mess. But it was good because we had cell phones. So she couldn't call me really. And also, I can always say I didn't have a signal. And I don't want to answer the phone because she wants to call me back to the store, and I'm not going to go back to that store. She has to handle it. So anyway, she was bad in sales. It was not good. It was tough. But I got good news for you. A, she wanted to change. Her dream was not going to be realized running a sewing room. She figured that out. And she wanted to change. So now, I have a candidate, happens to be my wife, who is going to change. So now I have to train her. And that's a little rough in the beginning because wives tend not to listen to their husbands. Don't ask me why. And husbands tend not to listen to their wives. Don't ask me why. I think it is because we have sex. Sex is a bad thing. Once you have sex, you don't listen to each other. You don't. It's like you listen to a stranger, but you won't listen to your spouse. I don't know why. And now we have learned to like overcome that, but initially it was like a little difficult. And a doctor will tell you, or because even though he's a doctor and a surgeon, and these people, they don't do psychiatry, they do some psychology in medical school, so they know the psychology of what's called familiarization. When you're familiar, you disrespect each other, or you don't respect each other enough. It's familiarization. So the way my wife looked at me when I used to be her boss is hardly the way she looks at me today, because we've been together for 36 years. So even if I'm saying something really important that is really my 51 years of experience, she's like, nah, I don't think so. And I'm like, hey, I'm serious. And then she's like, it's a little uncomfortable, little discomfort. And sometimes she says something and I dismiss her and she's like, I'm serious. And it's a little discomfort for me. So that's the dynamics of a good marriage. It happens to everybody. And if somebody says it doesn't happen, they're lying. So now, I'm here to tell you the good news. She wanted to change. It took her forever to change. Why? There's another issue that's very critical, and that's why it takes time. Successful people are stubborn. Deed. They're stubborn about what they believe in. That's why they're successful. They believe in something and they go. Nothing you say, nothing you do is going to stop them. They're deed. Hum to karke dikhayenge. That's deed. That's the ultimate stubbornness about success. So, stubborn is not good for learning. If you're stubborn, you don't learn. So there's the rub. Rub bole to conflict. Internal conflict. One side wants to do sales, the next side is too stubborn to change. The other side says you have to change. This side says, but I don't want to change. So this argument happens inside the mind. So it takes time. But the good news is, she was the worst salesperson / business entity. And now she's become the best. Because once the deed takes a side seat and the center seat decides to move forward, oh man, you cannot stop this individual. And now, all the top salespeople, all the top people that I have trained in the last 51 years who are successful multimillionaires out there, they don't come close to her. They don't. And I'm not saying this because she's my wife, because she was my wife and I told you that she was lousy. I'm very unbiased. She's the best. She's better than anybody I've ever had. Isn't it nice that she's also my wife? Nice. But there's one more thing which is good for your business. I'm not telling you this just to promote my wife. I really don't care to promote me or my wife. I'm very comfortable with who I am and who she is and who we are. But I'm telling you this to teach you something. It's all training and teaching. I want you to know that the worst people, when they are trained and they become good at what they were bad at, they are the best trainers. They're the best trainers. You cannot touch my wife in training. The reason is she knows all too well what not to do. She knows it better than anybody else because she's done all the things she shouldn't do. So she knows what not to do. So now when I hire a new person or I sponsor somebody, I say, you listen to Tiffany, you're good. You don't listen to her, you're not going to go good. It's that simple. Don't listen to me because I've trained her. She's fantastic. They don't have to listen to me. You listen to Tiffany, you'll succeed. You don't listen to Tiffany, I don't know. That's what I say. And it works because she trains, like she covers every aspect of what to do and what not to do because she did everything wrong for years, not months. So when a person who's not an action biased person but a thought biased person, when they switch, you have the best combination. Patient, because they're thinkers. They're very patient. They're very soft spoken because they're not action like they're not very nice. And they cover every aspect of the wrongs and the rights to do and not to do. So with that, I want you to respect everybody, because everybody you know and I know is 1 in 400 trillion that God put them on earth. They just haven't figured out why they are here sometimes. Some people ask, why am I here? Man, you gotta be joking. You should know why you're here by the time you're 25. I knew why I was here before I was 15. But we'll give you another 10 years. If at 25 you don't know why you're on earth, you're not a very intelligent person, or you're not using your mind. Use your mind a little bit. It's a good thing. It's a good instrument. It's like, if you have a good car, use it, man. नहीं मैं उसको बाहर लेके जाऊंगा तो ठक्कर वक्कर हो जाएगा, ठोस मारेगा कोई, तो रिक्शा खिसक के मेरे को मारेगा, तो फिर नहीं, उसको गराज में रखने दो. What kind of a stupid thing is that? Take your car out, use it, man. Use your mind. What if I make a mistake? Use your mind, man. It's alright. Keep using your mind. Figure out why you're here on earth. Your job is not why you're here. Your job is just to live. And live a good life. Depending on the type of life, your job, you have to get promotions and all that. But your job is not your dream. Your job is not your dream. Some people who sing and dance and act and write, their job is their dream. Most 99.9% of human beings, job is not my dream. My designing women's clothes is not my dream. My singing was my dream, but that ceased to be my job since I was 20. So I did what I didn't want to do for 50 years, and now I'm living my dream. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. It doesn't matter. If you're taking longer, you can shorten it. You're in charge. I'm not in charge. I can only tell you what you should do. The rest is up to you, right? So remember these things. And you're very special. 1 in 400 trillion, okay? These are facts. These are not made up numbers. So with that, I've spent the next 12 minutes. 17 minutes actually. So I'll turn it over to whoever and we'll call it a thing. But next week I want everybody's video on, or I don't want them on the broadcast. That's a requirement. Do I have your confirmation? Okay. So make sure that the people who come on, even new people, they know. Don't just tell them at the end. No, tell them there's one prerequisite. You look decent so that you can put your video on. And light your face. Don't light the back. Help them learn. Teach them. This business is not just this business. This business is more than this business, because we are doing Zoom meetings. Tomorrow you're going to do a Zoom meeting. If you have a light in the back of you, the person doesn't even know what you look like. Cannot see the expression in your face. So make sure that you're teaching people something so that they can use it in their life to better their quality of life and chase their dream. Okay?
Okay, Leo. We'll follow 100%.
Leo, fantastic.
Thanks a lot, Leo. Sing one less song is the name of this particular session. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
What's that?
Thank you, Leo.
I didn't hear you cut out.
Sing one less song.
Ah, yes, yes, yes.
लियो
They should want more.
ऐसा एटीट्यूड सेशन आज तक कभी अटेंड नहीं किया था मैंने. बहुत हेवी हो गया है.
देखा
Thanks to technology.
अभी 24 साल बाद आप बोल रहे हो ऐसा सेशन नहीं अटेंड किया, उसका मतलब 30 साल 12 महीने के लिए मैं कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा था.
कुछ कर रहे थे, ऐसा नहीं कर रहे थे.
यार बहुत लाइक यू आर वेरी टफ क्राउड.
2-3 बार सुनना पड़ेगा.
No, yeah, you are recording it without my permission. You're recording it.
Yeah, we want to listen a song from you, full song.
You want a song?
Listen a song from you.
I have a guitar over there. I have a microphone, but I cannot sing you a song till you go Q12.
Okay.
मजा आ गया. So you go to Q12, I have to sing a song. That's the deal.
Okay.
All right, good night.